I didn't know.
So I'm a hacker. I wanted to go to the campfire.
All right. Okay. It's all good.
There we go.
Can I go in here? Dang it.
Steve, are you coming up? Or are you
Hello.
Oh, sure. You want to come up, Felix?
Come on, Felix.
How are you so tall?
Okay, everyone.
Oh, they're in the ramp. Oh.
Okay, Felix and Steve, make sure that your megaphone is on, because we had some
Yep.
sound issues in the last one. And
Mine is on.
And
Yep,
Felix,
mine
are
should
you
be
able to
working.
get onto the stage? Are you able to come all the way over here on stage? Come on,
Yeah.
all the way in the middle. Because what I'm okay, guys. Thanks for coming. I'm going to mute you all for a second because we have a really exciting thing that we do at the beginning. We're going to have the presenters be up on stage, and we're going to have you guys line up right here at the bottom so we can take a photo with the audience. And up there in the green shirt is Donna. And when you all line up, then right here at the bottom of the stage, we're going to emote. And when you start emoting, so make sure there's nobody in front of you or behind you. Everybody kind of line up. This is such a great exercise for VR. You don't know what it looks like from up here. It looks like kindergartners, because you can't really get kindergartners to all get together, and we're not. And I think our avatars are kind of like kindergartner bodies. We're trying to get used to them and know exactly where they are in relation to other people. And so we're just learning our bodies. And so Donna now is going to tell us when we emote and when she's going to photograph us.
Okay, so you guys start doing emojis. Please don't stop till I say. It takes a bit for my camera to kick in. So everybody get doing emojis, and then I'll tell you when to stop. And it should be about 5, 4, 3, and you know what? That did it. Okay, keep
Awesome,
going.
guys.
Perfect.
All right.
That was awesome. So go ahead and make yourself comfortable in this really great environment. We are so happy to have Steve and Isaac with us today. All of us who have been in kind of gaming or virtual reality or any kind of content creation since for the last 10 years have dabbled in Minecraft in one way or another. It's just what we do. And so I'm going to pass it up. I just want to check filming is a go. Do I got a thumbs up? Okay, hearts means yes. Then I'm going to get off the stage and let you guys add it. Here we go. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, well, we're excited to be here, and I'm so excited to see so many people. I love this like lounge environment. Feel free to have a comfy seat on the couch if you'd like, or hang out up on the balcony. Even play a video game up there if you'd like. So my name is Steve Isaacs. I teach game design and development at William Annin Middle School in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. And I've taught there game design for like maybe 15 years. And I've forever also wanted to get the course up to our high school, Ridge High School. And this was the first year that I was able to also get the course to the high school. So I'm super excited. And one of the really nice things that's come out of that is that some of my former students I've gotten to see again and work with again. And Felix is one of those. I had Felix in my 8th grade class at the middle school, and now Felix is a graduating senior, about to go to Northeastern, hopefully, I believe, studying computer science. So, you know, from a teacher lens, I'm very proud and excited. And Felix has been an amazing student. I remembered, you know, the work he did in 8th grade, and when I saw him on my class list in high school, I was excited that I get to see Felix again before he graduates, and he did not disappoint this semester as he's been really doing amazing work. In fact, this is even the second time we've gotten to present together. One of the days we live stream, I live stream every morning at 9 a.m. and then at the afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern, and we've been focusing on content creation tools. And one day, Felix joined us on our stream to show his escape room that he created. And then Donna and the VR lady invited us to present here, and I wanted to talk about some of the things we're doing in VR, and I'll touch on that briefly, and then, you know, most importantly, have you hear from Felix and his experience and about his projects. But in terms of VR, about 5 years ago, Foundry 10, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Foundry 10, but they're a research organization in Seattle that focus on non-traditional approaches to learning, which speaks right to me. It's my kind of style. And about 4 or 5 years ago, they started a study on virtual reality in the classroom and basically invited teachers to apply and sort of share how they would like to use VR in the classroom and what they would like to study in that regard. So because I teach game design and focus on content creation, immediately my interest was getting kids involved in creating content for virtual reality. And we've had sort of an interesting run of that because I have kids using tools like CoSpaces and, I've had kids use Unity and Unreal Engine. When I was only at the middle school, kids really were challenged, by Unity. Some of them did a great job, but the amount of effort it took to get something very simple to happen in VR in Unity was sometimes, a limiting factor. And then it occurred to me, because I've been using Minecraft for so many years, that Minecraft, the Windows 10 edition, has a native virtual reality, component. So you can play the game in VR pretty much right out of, once you have your headset plugged in, you're ready to go. And that works with like the Oculus Rift, any Windows mixed reality device, that sort of thing. So it occurred to me at that point that we had something, that was going to really speak to kids and be like, okay, kids already are very comfortable in Minecraft. We could create experiences in Minecraft for virtual reality. And what I started to see, which was amazing, was kids working in groups where 2 or 3 of them were in a regular Minecraft world and their partner was in the VR headset. And in that environment, they were communicating, and the kid in VR would communicate to the classmates like, hey, you need to make this passageway much wider or higher because I feel claustrophobic in here. And the kids were starting to understand this medium of VR and how we accommodate for that when we're developing. So Minecraft, we use both in and out of VR. If we were still in school and not home on this stay-at-home thing, I'm pretty sure Felix would have gone deeper into using it in virtual reality. But the project he created would lend well to VR, and if we just modified it a little bit, it would lend even better. So anyway, I'd like for Felix to introduce himself. I always love to hear my students' perceptions on our class format and things that we do in class, and then he'll be presenting his project, and then after that, I'll share some slides from a project I've been working on recently as well. So, Felix, take it away.
All right, hello everyone. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Well, I'm Felix, and as Mr. Isaac has said, I've been in his class for 8th grade and now in senior year. So in his classes, there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of he gives us a bunch of different activities we could do. We're never forced to go through one linear path to get a grade. And so that leaves us with a lot of options. We can choose what you want to do. And that really lets our creativity flow and then leads to a lot of really good projects such as this one. So right now I'm just going to present to you one of the projects that I did in Minecraft. And Minecraft is such a good tool for content creation and in VR, especially since it's already its own engine. You don't really need to learn anything, especially if you've already been experiencing Minecraft, playing it your whole life. And so it really just allows people to immediately use their ideas and use their creativity to just create what they want. So we're just going to go through this slide. Gives a step-by-step process of an escape room I made. And this escape room just goes through a couple of puzzles in order to get out of this room that you find yourself trapped in. So once I get this to work,
I could also advance the slides, I think, if it would help.
all right, yeah, if you can manage to do it right now, that would be good.
Okay, let's see. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
Oops.
got it. So,
Okay.
So basically, the whole escape room is found in a Minecraft server that Mr. Isaac's made, and the server is really cool because we have a lot of these spheres where students can make their projects inside, and then we can travel through all these different things, see what's in them. And mine is made out of sea lanterns over this giant ocean, and there's just a nice sign saying escape that lets you know it's an escape room. There we go. Slowly but sure. Alright, so in the sea lantern, you see this nice building over here, mostly made with stone, glowstone, and as you can see there's going to be a little bit of redstone, which I'll cover as it becomes relevant. So as you enter the sphere, you come into this room, and it gives you a little guidance where to go, and there's these little bit of instructions just to make sure that you follow the rules to enjoy the escape room as much as you can, and it's just a good way of letting them know what to prepare for, what to experience. And once we go in, you'll see that the game becomes survival mode, and then all your items are removed, so you can't really start cheating in the escape room. So once you go into the escape room, oh, it's just black. Hopefully, I don't know if anyone has any trouble seeing the images.
Yeah, no, we're seeing them.
Alright, so once you enter the escape room, you'll be able to see three different things in each wall. There's this weird library thing with an iron door and a chest. There's this slightly open wall that might lead somewhere. There's this set of minecarts, the mine track, kind of behind a wall of glass. And then there's this little button here if you want to leave the escape room because you find it too challenging or you want to give up. So there's basically 3 puzzles, and you got to go through them in that order in order to escape. So for the first one, you would go to the wall with all these bookcases, and you can see this little sign, and it has the riddle: what goes up, it never comes down. So if you look into the chest, you'll find a bunch of these books that each are titled with a possible answer to the riddle. And so the answer in this case would be age. And with this book, we could put it in the lectern. And the lectern, what some of you might not know, is that whenever you flip a page, it actually creates a redstone signal. So it only causes a redstone signal while you're turning it. So in order to actually make it do something that stays relevant, we need to kind of use the redstone activation to keep it activated. So basically flipping it allows you to open the iron door, and the book also gives you some hints about later puzzles, which we'll go back to once they become relevant. So opening the iron door, we see this chest. So the way this was done is that under the lectern, there's this little redstone path that leads up here, and basically once it's activated, that white base with like the 2 redstone torches is a repeater, and that basically allows you to keep the redstone loop going round and around to stay on and make sure the door is on. And although this puzzle uses redstone, there's a lot of options that you can do in Minecraft. You don't even need to tackle any kind of redstone if you want to make some kind of fun puzzles like parkour or like the next puzzle that we're about to see. So once you open the chest, you see that it has a lever. And earlier on in the chest, in the book, it told us to put the lever in a specific spot. And so once you find that spot, you can flip it and the door will open. Unfortunately, you're not done just yet. You have to go through, but then there's another wall blocking your path. And the signs kind of point you to the next puzzle. And this puzzle uses a lot less redstone and relies a lot more on just minecarts and mine tracks. Oh, so the door that was used to like block the initial way is just done with a bunch of pistons that are activated thanks to redstone torch. And then if you use redstone on a torch, it actually deactivates the torch. So then you can kind of keep it on until you don't want to anymore. So for the minecart one, there's this button that moves a minecart through 2 possible paths. And then on the opposite end, there's a path that lets you like grab anything that's in a minecart. However, this minecart is empty. So what you want to do is you need to try to get the minecart with a chest on the other side. And then you would just need to do that by flipping a lever around. That is just kind of alternating which paths to go. You have to figure out which way the minecarts are going to move once you set them up. And then finally, once you get it, you will find that it has 4 levers in another book. So in this book, there's an explanation that each of these, throughout the room, there have been these oars. Oh, sorry, it seems like someone's having trouble seeing the presentation. Right.
They need to re-enter.
Oh, okay.
I can see it fine. So if you're having trouble
Okay.
seeing the slide, go ahead and go to Settings, General, and down about the middle, re-enter.
All right, thank you for that. So now with the book, throughout the room, there's these 4 blocks that are made of like these special Minecraft ores that you get by mining. And one of them is iron, another is emerald, another is gold, and another is diamond. So basically each of these corresponds to a riddle that is in this book. And then each of these blocks has 2 signs, each with a word on it. So then you have to figure out which word corresponds to the answer to the riddle, and then flip the lever in that direction, up or down. And once you manage to get all of them in the right place, you'll be able to open the door, and you'll be able to go free. So what happened here is that each of these levers leads to a redstone path, and some of these are already activated that you would have to deactivate, or some of them are just deactivated from the start. So then one of these leads to the pistons that we also use to block the initial doorway. But then the other 3 lead to these, lead to these pistons that can block all the redstone paths from going to the pistons. So basically, if even one of them is wrong, they'll stop the whole thing from ever reaching the pistons and opening the door. And finally, once you get out, you're congratulated and you get a book from a chest that serves kind of like a trophy. And that's the whole presentation of my own escape room.
Thanks, Felix. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Well, I was gonna say I'm gonna show some slides in a minute too, and talk a little bit about some of the other types of things. But this is probably a great time to ask questions of Felix. And I know somebody also said to me a note that they can't see, but I think the answer to that was you might have to. Was it log out and log back in, or?
You just go to re-enter. It's on the General tab about halfway down.
Okay, you have to re-enter, and I think it should bring you back in, and you should be able to see, I hope. Okay. So let's see. So let's see. So if people are, I have to figure out how to see participation. Okay, raise hands. Ojasawa has.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Was that Ojasawa? I mean, I think as people have questions at this point, they can unmute and ask. And can they even, well, we can repeat their question, but I wonder, that's probably the best. And actually, Relly also has a hand up. So, Ojasawa, did you have a question? And Relly says no, or no. Okay. How about Suyash? I'm going to give you the megaphone, I think.
Yeah.
Sujas Banerjee?
So, I was asking that in this Minecraft project that he has been doing, can we also enter and just learn and develop to make games like this easily?
Would you be able to repeat that question, please?
Can we just enter into Minecraft and also just like him, we can also just try and develop our own games easily?
Yeah. So Minecraft. I guess I'll take a step back in terms of Minecraft. And Minecraft is available on just about every device. So people play it on their phone. They play it on the iPad, Xbox, PlayStation, computer. There's also an education edition. All of those editions would allow you to do the kinds of things that Felix did. But some of the things he talked about, like the redstone, gets a little involved, but kids are amazing at learning that, especially learning it when they need to know it. So would you like to add to that, Felix?
right. Yeah. I think he was also. Yeah. So in this case, I used the Windows edition, and really all of them have minor similarities, but you can choose which version to use based on what exactly you want to do. The one that's most different is probably the Education edition, is then you can also use blocks that allow or prevent people from breaking items, and from there you can do stuff like Adventure Mode, which is something similar to Creative or Survival, where in Adventure Mode you can't destroy or place blocks at all, but you can just interact with the environment. And I think they were also yeah, I think for now it's mostly based around like the classes with all the hosts, which would be the teachers that are using this to place their projects. So I don't know how accessible it is to everyone.
But that's a great question too. What I often do when students submit their projects, I often will take the world file and put it in a shared drive, and then I often share them out. So I have some resources like I use Wakelet, and in Wakelet, I share a lot of the student projects. And my students typically write blog post reflections to talk about their project. So when it's one that I can also actually link you to the download for that project, I will do that. So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll definitely have easy access to contact me, but also to see a lot of the shared student work, because I share student work all the time, and it's at Mr._Isaacs, which is probably what my display name is here, Mr._Isaacs on Twitter. I love to share student work. I love to talk about Minecraft and other tools that we're using. So please feel free to reach out. And
I have another question if there's time.
Yes, absolutely.
So I would like to know, what were the biggest challenges? What were the things that got in your way, and how did you solve them?
That's a great question. That's for you, Felix.
All right. So some of the biggest challenges, I'd say there were like, we could simplify it to two main things. First, what kind of puzzles I would do in an escape room in Minecraft, and what mechanics I could use that are already in the game, and also how to automate the whole thing. So first of all, how to make all the puzzle ideas. So basically, before we were making this whole project, we had to kind of like brainstorm. We were supposed to make a mini game, and there's a lot of options we could choose from that. And so during this time, I was playing this mobile game called The Room, which is basically this puzzle game that has you escaping from rooms. So that kind of inspired me to make an escape room. So then from there, I kind of started thinking, what could I use to make puzzles in Minecraft? What could I use? So the things that came to mind were things like redstone, because like I've dabbled in it for a bit, so I can kind of create ways to open doorways and make stuff happen with redstone. So although there's a lot of options you could choose, I mostly stuck with things like riddles, redstone, and minecarts. So for the first puzzle, basically opening doors, grabbing the levers. Minecart interactions was something I learned during this project, and I just had to figure out how to make it so that the player wouldn't be able to go on the minecarts or break the game in any way. And finally, with the 4 levers, it was a matter of figuring out how to path those. And for the second point, how to automate the whole thing. So basically, whenever a player would leave the room, in order to allow other people to do the room right after them, I'd kind of have to reset everything, right? Because if there was nothing to do that, then whenever someone went in here, they'd just find the puzzle solved, the room open, and that wouldn't be that much fun. So what I had to do was, at the very end, once you escape, you might be able to go below this platform, and you see all of this. So those are command blocks. And these are like really special things in Minecraft. Basically, with redstone, you can make the command blocks make a command. And a command is basically something that happens in Minecraft. There's a lot of variety of stuff that commands can do. They can give you items, they can change game modes, they can destroy items, they can summon items. And some of the things that I had to do with these is there were, I think, 3 main commands that were used. Well, 4. So the first one was the clone command. So the clone command basically copies an item in a certain coordinate, and then it places it in the other coordinate that you state. So basically, all these things you can find at the edge of the sphere, and basically these are things that need to be copied in order for the room to replace them. So all these chests would actually contain things like the lever, the 4 levers in the book, and all the things you need in order to actually progress through the room. And then the other 3 are the fill command, which if you filled it with air, destroyed all the levers, so that would like remove all the levers that the person placed. The kill command would just destroy items. This was used for like the minecarts. And then the summon command was to replace the minecarts. Because there's a difference between blocks and items. Blocks are just these static things that you can control as much as you want, but then items are a little bit trickier. You need specific commands in order to do that.
In fact, I want to thank you for that, because in the project I'm going to talk about, I ran into an issue where I was trying to fill a block with a diamond pickaxe, but that's not considered a block, so I imagine I could summon it in that space. So for that, I thank you, Felix. Another example of many in my life where I learn as much or more from my students than they learn from me. And yeah, Felix, the one thing I'll take a little bit of credit for that I helped him with was that cloning idea, because the beauty is that happens a lot with automation, where you play through a game and then all of a sudden the items you need are gone. Especially when there's a chest and you take something out of a chest and then it's no longer there. So all of that stuff he did with those command blocks is rather tedious but very important, because at the end of the game it resets and replaces everything. So I'll talk a little bit about what we've been doing this week during our morning live stream. So, as we were ramping up for this event, it occurred to me it was a good week to speak specifically to Minecraft as a creation tool for VR. So Mike Washburn and I have been working in a server in the Participate. I don't know if people are on participate.com, but they have great communities, including a game-based learning community that I'm active in. And they've been sponsoring and producing my stream. We made a big roller coaster, which is also a great activity for virtual reality, because the first time I got into a headset with Minecraft, I was in a rail cart. It was the first time, as I'm sitting in a rail cart looking around, I'm realizing Minecraft in or out of VR is completely immersive. Now that you're in VR, it's the first experience that really felt like, oh my gosh, I am inside of this game. So when you're on a rail cart or a roller coaster riding in virtual reality, it's pretty awesome. So we decided this week that we were going to, similar to Felix, create an escape room, but we were specifically going to do it for VR. And if you've watched the stream at all, there are points where I'm in the headset and I'm in VR and Mike's still building and I'm making suggestions. This is one little example, but this hallway or stairwell that leads into our escape room was narrower and shorter than this originally. So my big suggestion to Mike was that it had to be blown out a little bit, because the one thing you'll notice in like Minecraft and VR, especially if you go downstairs or tight spaces, is that in VR, you're feeling constrained and really feeling claustrophobic. But when the spaces are grand, you can really enjoy what Minecraft has to offer. So the idea also of when you're in the headset, like when I was taking this picture in the headset and I'm like looking around the whole world, I mean, you could kind of imagine what it's like in virtual reality as well. So our puzzle, similar to Felix's, had to have automation and a number of ideas. And we were trying to also, like I said, make it make sense for VR. So this first puzzle, and it's supposed to, and with game design, one of the things I try to teach my kids, participate.com. I'm sorry, somebody just pointed that out. Participate, not participation, participate.com. So anybody in mind, and I don't know if you could send me a quick note, but anybody have an idea of how you might, like what about this puzzle might give a clue to how I could solve it? Any Minecrafters out there? You could certainly unmute if you have an idea. Felix probably knows. Felix, looking at it, do you have an idea of what you might try to do?
Oh, the slide? The slide doesn't appear for me. Let me try to fix that.
Oh, you're not seeing it? Are other people hopefully seeing it? Well, I'll give you a hint, Felix. You're in a room. Now I lost it. Let's see.
Oh, is it changing?
Okay, now it's all getting weird. Hopefully you all see. You see it now, Felix? Maybe there's a lag.
We might be seeing different things.
Okay. Hello. So anyway, this first puzzle, I'll talk you through it then. There's a small room. There's mostly, just walls and whatever. There are item frames with pickaxe on the wall, and there's a block of obsidian on the ground. Now, one of the things is in survival mode, which you would be in when you're playing, you could technically just break through all these walls, except you can't break through bedrock or obsidian. So behind all these walls is bedrock, so you couldn't break through. That's part of the challenge. And then obsidian can only be broken with a diamond pickaxe. So in this case, the player might grab one of these pickaxes, and they're on these item frames, so they look more decorative than usable. But anyway, that's how that puzzle would work. Other people are saying they see black the whole time. I apologize for that. Of course, I would love for you to see these big, beautiful slides of this big, epic room. But if you're seeing what I'm seeing, then once you broke through, you would drop down. And this is a kind of interesting experience in VR because the falling idea is kind of cool. That brings you to this puzzle room where there are all these red walls and pressure plates. Now, a lot of times with a pressure plate, what you would do is, if there was a door here, the pressure plate could open the door. In this case, I used, like Felix did, a command block. So when you step on a pressure plate, what it's going to do is it's going to actually create a cutout by filling a few blocks with air. But one would think that if I step on this pressure plate, it would open up right here and I'd walk through, but it does not. What it does is it actually opens up the door to the right. So it's a puzzle of all these different doors. You have to go through, step on pressure plates that don't open what you think they do, and go through until you find your way out of this room. And again, as we've been playing around, we've been experimenting in VR to kind of get that feeling like, does it feel immersive? That finally gets you through the room. And this one's going to be cool. This is a room we're working on. What's going to happen in this room is there's going to be water filling up the room, kind of one of those kind of like you're fearful of drowning because you would drown. And if you don't in time figure out the right button to press to then open an iron door before you've drowned by being consumed by water, that's how you would have to solve that one. This is a fun room where the idea was you walk into the room and all you see is a lone TNT block and kind of wonder what that's doing there. You will have prior found some flint and steel, and anybody who plays Minecraft knows that you can light TNT with flint and steel and blow stuff up, and everybody loves to blow stuff up in Minecraft. In this case, when you do blow this up, it reveals this one little area, and you'll see in a second, we purposely played around until it revealed exactly what we wanted, and it gives you an opening to chests where you need, kind of like which some of Felix's puzzles, you might need to find a lever to open a door or something like that. And then there happened to be 4 different doors also in that room, so you had to figure out which one. And then it leads to this rainbow maze type of area, which also plays well in VR because of the colors and things. And that's about, that gives you a general idea of this project and how we were doing it in VR. But again, with this one, also the fact that this whole world that we're creating, has the opportunities to explore content for virtual reality. One of the challenges, of course, with COVID is that while I have all these headsets that we would usually use in school, the kids are at a loss right now unless they have their own. Which is very unfortunate because a big part of these projects is, of course, that they work on it and test it. Now, remotely, it's not to say that we couldn't work on it and then have it be tested by either myself or somebody who might have a headset, but that's a little bit limiting. But when we're in the classroom under normal circumstances, it's worked out really well. And now we can certainly open up for any kind of questions. What I will say is a few things. First, though, Minecraft is wonderful because of, and like Felix pointed out, the potential for automation with redstone and command blocks and things has turned it into becoming my favorite game design engine, even though it was not developed to be a game design engine. But what you'll find is that all these servers you hear kids talking about playing on, they're always playing games in these servers. So they're playing games other people created that are meant for Minecraft in Minecraft, and that's become a huge part of the ecosystem around the content creation for this game. And it really pushes kids. Yes?
Steve, this is really fascinating, and I don't want you to stop talking because I love Minecraft, but they can't see the slides, and so I think you've moved on from referencing them. I could see them. Some people could and some people couldn't, and we were going to refresh the room. But I think you've moved on from slides now, right?
I have,
so we're not going to be referencing the slides anymore. I just wanted to let the audience know the slides were awesome. And what I think you're getting to now is I think the something else that's really fascinating, which is you using the tool for they're working now, but they were changing in. So of course, right? Because we all use emerging tech, and when you want it to work, it's not going to work. And but I want you to keep talking. We're not going to reference the slides anymore because it's being hosted, and we don't have to reset the room. If you want to keep talking about exactly what you were just talking about with this, you're using it as a tool, not like a book or something, but as a go on. I'm sorry, I just wanted to let you know.
Absolutely.
That.
And in fact, maybe you're able to share the published slides so people can look at them afterwards.
We definitely can.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask you, if you don't mind, I wanted to ask you guys just a few questions about this. Felix, it really seems like you had a great teacher and you have this enormous knowledge set about what you're doing. And it's obvious because you've had a great teacher, but you don't seem to be expressing what you've learned in the rote recitation, vomiting back knowledge to the teacher that all of us had to do, which is I'm going to tell you something, then you tell it to me exactly back this exact same way, and then I check a box and say, okay, you learned something. Could you talk a little bit about how learning is different, because you're actually creating stuff and you're actually coming up with, and I can tell, Steve talked about it a lot, like figure this out. There may be more than one solution. There may be a solution I don't know, and Felix teaches me, right? So could you tell me what it's like to be a student and with your teacher, and how that's more creative than it is just the kind of learning that you could have in other of your classes? Because I think that's what your teacher was getting to. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. So, we're really lucky to be living in this age, especially with teachers such as Mr. Isaacs, and just technology advancing and giving us opportunities to use things like Micro Education Edition. All these things have really allowed us to open up how we teach, how we learn, and opens up a lot of variety. And so, a lot of things, not even just in game design, things like robotics, things like engineering, we've been doing all these projects where we create stuff, and rather than trying to memorize a lot of things, and then recite it back, fill in tests, and get a good grade, we're trying to create things and try to express ourselves and try to figure out what it is we want to do, what we want to create. And that really helps us to maintain our interest in learning and to help us cooperate with each other, cooperate with our teachers, our school, and hopefully keep us connected even during times like this where it's a lot harder to see each other in person.
Well, then I would follow that up with a question for Steve, which is, what is the most exciting and the most frightening part of teaching the way that you teach?
That's a great question. So when I first started using Minecraft in particular, I had to completely let go of this idea that I was the one who had the knowledge. Like I was no longer the keeper of the knowledge. I realized very quickly my students knew more about the tool than I did. But then what that opened up for me was a few things. It made me realize, for one, when I first assigned creating a game in Minecraft, I had this big idea, like, I'll have kids create an adventure map that did this and did that. And talking to somebody made me realize and refine that very much to say, create a game in Minecraft and allow kids to decide what that meant to them. What I do, I have realized that my strength in the classroom is that I can guide the kids through that process. I know enough about things like design documents that kids might not think to do on their own, that I will guide them through that. And then guiding them through the time management process, that's the best thing I could do for them, is to do that, but let them take ownership of the learning. And in a case like this, where, you know, like Felix had ideas, his escape room. Now, if I was taking that old approach of like, I'm going to teach you things, everybody would have learned in Minecraft X, Y, Z, and everybody would have applied X, Y, and Z in their project, and I would have ended up with, 100 projects that were almost the same. Now, it's not like that. So I know a little bit about command blocks, so I can teach the basics of how to use a command block, but when Felix decides he wants his command block to do something in particular, he might have to go out and figure that out. And the funny reality about Minecraft, there was no instruction manual. All of the content out there is created by users. So kids have been learning this way with or without us the whole time they've been playing Minecraft. So why not embrace that in school? So the most exciting, go ahead.
I often say we need to get out of their way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
The most exciting thing for me is that I sit down sometimes, a kid has a problem and asks for help, and I might start sweating a little because I know sitting down I don't know the answer. I might know how to work with a child to figure it out together, and that's exciting to me. So
I have one more question for you, and then when you're done, pass it off to Felix. And so my question for you, because I imagine you have a teaching credential, Steve, or?
Yes.
Okay, so my question for you is, what did your School of Education or your higher ed learning teach you wrong about being a teacher? And then when you're done, could you pass it off to Felix so Felix can answer what public school has taught him wrong about learning?
Sure.
Okay.
So, yeah, absolutely. So for starters, my actual initial certification was in special education. I taught a self-contained special education class for my first 6 years of teaching. I happened to be in a science and technology magnet school, so I learned on my own that technology ended up being a great way to personalize learning for my students. Then I just got excited about games and game design. I've always been excited about games. So I learned most everything on my own, which also taught me, how I was learning when I was learning on my own. So the idea, and I haven't used a textbook in years. So the idea of following a prescriptive approach to education, following, a prescribed curriculum, all that kind of stuff is what didn't work for me until I did decide to really empower kids in their learning. I think that's the best way to put it. And that's been, that was a big shift for me, for sure.
And Felix, is every teacher like Mr. Isaacs? What would you say is obviously we know what he does right. How does public education keep you from learning?
I guess it definitely depends on the teacher. There's a lot of different teachers with a lot of different mindsets, and based on how much control they want to give to the students is important. I have teachers who um, don't give us an option with anything. We have to follow these slides, do this at the right date. We can't even get ahead of any work. We can't do any side work. And then comparing it to other teachers that have more freedom, like creating our own final projects and things like that, definitely allows us to express ourselves more. And in terms of what we've been learning wrong, I'd say just near the beginning, trying to focus more on following a strict linear path rather than opening up to what we find interesting and what we find ourselves motivated to work on.
I find that students, especially young students, realize that their life path will not be linear. And so teaching them a skill set to think linearly. It used to be that our grandpa started working at the electric company and he retired from the electric company. And that was a very linear, easy path to follow. But our world is a lot more what I call dynamic. We don't live in a static world, we live in a dynamic world. And so our skill sets have to be dynamic. And so I just want to applaud your teacher for teaching you that way and for you to be the type of student to be able to embrace that, because I'm highly impressed with what you guys do together. And I
Felix,
think,
I'm sorry, I was going to say Felix completely embraces that. So there are some students who still kind of maybe struggle with that approach because it's not school as they know it or are used to playing school. The volume of work and the amount of things Felix has done, I think, and I hope it's because he's genuinely, inherently motivated, is far surpasses what you would generally expect or what would be required if it was more like a, write this 5-page paper, do this. So, I thrive when I have students like Felix who embrace the approach. That's for sure.
and Felix, I'm a teacher also. I've taught kindergarten through 12th grade all the way through graduate school. And teachers like me and your teacher love students like you. we just absolutely love students like you.
Thank you.
So, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I do want to mention that, like, one of the most important things, especially, like, thanks to Mr. Isaacs, by myself, I'm not necessarily this creative. I'm not, like, that motivated to do these projects. But thanks to people like Mr. Isaacs that are, like, pushing me forward, giving me outlines of what I can do, it really helps me, like, inspire myself to do these things. And especially, like, in 8th grade. Back in 8th grade, I was pretty much one of those students who, like, oh, I don't want to do this different. I want to follow this linear path. But now, thanks to a lot of his projects, have really helped me build up to what I am right now.
That's the highest compliment I could receive.
Yes, for any teacher. I want to open it up for questions one more time, and then are there? And there's the raised hand, and it looks like we have one from Brova. I'm going to give you the microphone. Go ahead.
You guys hear me?
Brova. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you hear me? Okay. Hey, so I've been following these workshops in Allspace for a while because I originally got my VR headset in like 2015, and I teach a STEM program, and kind of like I'm really against like I guess you would say the standard way of learning. So I'm not an actual teacher in the school, but I've been in a lot of schools because when I graduated from college, it was a teacher school, so I know a lot of principals. And we have a program called FIRE, which is Forward Innovation, Redefining Evolution. And what it means is, as the children move forward with innovation, they redefine, their evolution, what they're going to be. Originally we thought we want them to be what we're going to be, but I've had students from 6 to maybe 19 years old, and the program has different modules. We have 3D printing, we have drone photography, we have coding, we use like Bitsbox. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that for the kids. It works real good for them. And we've been in schools, all kinds of demographics, bad schools, good schools, schools with money, schools without money, recreation centers and everything. And our success has been kind of like what Mr. Isaac was basically saying is, I don't want to be, the kids have been teaching My son has Minecraft. That's why I actually popped in here because I saw what was going on. And in the middle of the game, him and his friends started coding and creating different objects. And I'm like, what is that? Like, I teach them just one quick thing about my background. I have an IT company. I worked in corporate America and Wells Fargo as like system admin, PC tech. The whole thing, I built my way, kind of built my way up, just contracting my way up. And then finally I got my, I left corporate America because I couldn't go so high and started my own company. But I started the program for kids as really an experiment with one recreation center and kind of build it. And I'm a kid at heart, so as I came into the innovation with VR and everything else, I just tried to, basically give it to them, and they started liking it, and it kind of grew organically. That was like 5 years ago. We were in the schools with the VRs, and the thing back then was it kind of hurt their eyes if they were too young and stuff like that. But really my big question here is I'm trying to figure out how to implement this with the limitation. Well, with the thing about, like, my son just had the headset on like 10 minutes. He was like, it kind of hurt my eyes. I know you can do it from being in the other course with the computer in 2D. But what's the best approach to, because I feel like if these kids get in here and see what I'm seeing, just like they were doing with Minecraft, and they started creating objects and making speed blasts and all that, I didn't even understand what he was doing, and I call myself teaching them. So, like you said, they're going to teach us. How do we implement them into this VR with that type of issues? Because I got a lot of little guys, 6, 7, 8, young teenagers. And the thing with the eyes and everything else, how do we address that?
Have you had some experience with that you can speak to, Steve? I know it's a concern.
Yeah.
How long?
Right.
Because when kids get really interested, they stay in.
Yeah, that is a thing. So I work mostly with middle and high school students, but I've seen younger kids using VR. Definitely, even myself. I mean, there's only a certain amount of time I probably want to be in the headset. I find that certain activities really end up making me want to be involved. Like, this is kind of interesting. Like, this is a low intensity kind of use of VR, right? Like, so I don't feel strained when we're doing this, but yet I feel a little more engaged because since I'm in the headset, I'm less distracted by the outside world. With the stuff we've done with Minecraft, what I like is that the experiences, or when the kids are working, they don't have to be in VR the whole time to do their project. In fact, they're just in there to test it. And then chances are the experience they create would probably not be an experience like where they're playing Minecraft for hours in the headset, but rather experiencing something. I do agree with you that there are factors there. So I think, and like, I don't know, for me, I'm thinking to myself, so in my game club, there are some kids that could be in VR, for 30 minutes without, feeling anything. And then there are kids I see in it for 5 minutes, and then they're like, okay, that was enough. So maybe there's a little bit of a personal thing, maybe those kind of things. I know for me, it's certain activities, like I've really grown to like Beat Saber. So I'll play that longer because once I'm in it, I don't feel like I have the weight of a headset on. I kind of get lost in it. So I think we have a long way to go in terms of the experiences truly being the right level of immersive. And I guess that's the crossroads we're at. And I do believe the real younger kids, maybe we want to be careful about that. And then, like, the Oculus Go is like 3 degrees of freedom versus something that's 6 degrees of freedom or what have you, where I believe that's probably less of a strain. Those are the thoughts that come to mind.
I often talk to parents and administrators and teachers about learning about moderation. Not moderation in VR, not moderation with the television, not moderation with media, just moderation. When I have a parent that says, he's always on his phone, and I talk to that parent, well, in the middle of our conversation, they're on their phone. And I think, so part of character development in the classroom isn't so much making the phone or the technology something different, but a way that we express the character that we're developing, just one more way that we decide who we're going to be. And so when we learn to moderate what our personal limits are with health or for our physical body or for who, our relationships, am I in VR all the time and I'm not, talking to my son or I'm not talking to my daughter, then those other issues seem to resolve themselves. If it's a problem of something I feel like is a larger thing that we're dealing with moderation. Now we have 2 more questions. We're almost out of time, so I'm going to try. No, we don't have more questions. They went away. I want to. I thought we had 2 more people asking questions, but that was a great question. I applaud the work that you're doing with your community group. I think that I'm going to use these last few minutes to let a little bit of socialization happen, because I think there's probably more people like you in the audience that want to talk personally to the student and the teacher. I do want to promote, though, in a half an hour, we have the most amazing interview with Buddy. Buddy's 14 years old from Savannah, Georgia. They call him the young David Letterman of interviewers. He has. If you have a chance Saturday nights, go to Late Night with Buddy right here in Altspace. He will be interviewing the grandfather of VR, Tom Furness. If you've never met him, you remember Jurassic Park where it says, "Welcome to Jurassic Park." That's exactly what he looks like in real life. That's what his avatar looks like. Tom Furness, awesome man. And so I'm going to let you guys. I'm going to unmute everybody and make sure that you guys can engage for a little while. But you have to promise me, no matter how interesting they are, because this is 2 very interesting people, you guys will make it over to the keynote. You make sure that everybody gets over there. Okay, Steve? Okay, Isaac?
Yes.
All
yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to unmute everybody and a round of applause for these amazing. Which one's the teacher? Which one's the student? We don't know. It's hard to tell. All right. And I'm going to unmute you guys and socialize. Just make sure you come and see Buddy, okay? I'm going to go run ahead, okay? And thank you guys so much. So awesome.
Thank you.
So awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, and feel free to talk to your speakers now and on a one-on-one basis. And I'm the VR lady, and I'd like to talk with you more later, okay? Also, with the work you do, okay, Bova? All right.